Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to format and properly write an outline, as well as the purpose of the outline and the next steps we're going to be taking. So if you visit our Google Classroom page, go to Classwork and click on under Individual Research Project, our outline. I've posted a format, blank outline, fill in. If you open that, you're going to see this document that I've already formatted in MLA, so you don't have to change any of the format, any of the spacing or the fonts. All you have to do is fill in your information. However, to do that, you're going to need to go to File and Make a Copy. You're going to change this title to your name and outline. Oops. Click OK. So it's going to bring you to that new document. And this one you will be able to outline. So you're going to fill in your name here and your last name up here. And then you're going to go down and begin filling in the information for your outline. So you should use the individual research questions that we completed previously. This document here, obviously the one with your answers filled in, to gather your information. So if we remember, a thesis is the main sentence of your paper, or it's the last sentence of your introduction, and it should explain everything that you're going to talk about in your paper, as well as the point or the stance that you are taking. So for example, if I am researching color theory, so the idea and arrangement of the color spectrum, I might decide that the three main points that I would like to discuss is how color theory came to be developed, who developed it, and what was the impact or change it made in the time that it was developed. So for my thesis, I'm going to erase these lines, so I highlight and delete, and I'm going to fill in, this should be a single sentence that explains all three main points that I want to discuss. So I might say something like the invention and development of color theory. That's my main point, is that I'm talking about the invention and development of the color theory. Has an interesting history, right? So the history of the development, inventor and purpose, right? So who invented it and why, as well as an impact on the society around it. You can definitely simplify this sentence and, oops, you can definitely simplify this and do more of a listing of what you might want to talk about. So if I were to simplify a little bit, I could say something like the development of color theory has deep and interesting history, inventor, and impact. So I would prefer something a little bit more descriptive. However, at the level of research that we've done so far, you may want to start with something a little bit more simple. So under here, your three main points, this is exactly what we just talked about, the three main ideas you want to talk about in your paper that go along with your topic. So my three main points, per my example, would be an interesting history, inventor and purpose, and impact on society. Right, so I've got my 3 main ideas, and those are going to be pulled down into my main point paragraphs. So my second paragraph of my paper after my introduction is going to be about one of my 3 main points. I'm going to go in order. So my first one is going to be about my interesting history. So for my full sentence, what will this paragraph be about? I don't want to say in this paragraph, I'm going to discuss the history of color theory, right? I know that you're going to discuss the history of color theory. That's why you're writing your paper. So you want to make it a little bit more of an introductory sentence to your main paragraph. So instead of saying, I'm going to write about the interesting history, I can simplify and say, the development of color theory, has a very interesting history. Right? Keep it simple, doesn't have to be anything crazy. And then down here with my additional points to include anything that I have found in my research that is related to the development of color theory and the history of color theory, I can include here. So obviously, I am going to discuss the inventor and purpose in my next paragraph, but I might want to introduce the general history. So when, where, and by who. And as well as what was the time period like around the time that it was invented. So what was going on in the time period. And then any other interesting facts about the history, any crazy stories that I may have found, or any other interesting facts, I can add to my additional points, right? So you can add as many additional points as you would like. They will benefit you, which means they will help you when we are going to turn our outline into a full paper. So after I finished my first main point, I'm going to move on to my second main point, and I'm going to do the same thing for all 3 of my 3 main points. So obviously yours are going to be different. You're going to need to format your sentences a little differently and your paragraphs a little differently. And if you have specific questions about your topic and what points you could include, email me and we can discuss it. So once I finished my main point paragraphs, I'm going to go to my conclusion. All this is rewrite your thesis statement using different words. So if we go back up here, I've got my thesis. All I want to do in my conclusion is summarize what we've talked about. So I'm going to restate this thesis, but I don't want to just copy and paste it. I want to reword it to keep it interesting. So I said the invention and development of color theory has an interesting history, inventor, and purpose, as well as an impact on the society around it. So down here, I can reword to say, as we have seen, color theory has many interesting, a very interesting history, inventor, and impact. Right, again, we can keep it simple. So once you've completed this, make sure that you've changed the names, make sure you haven't adjusted any of the settings, right? So the margins or the double spacing. All you need to do is fill in your points. Your thesis and your full sentences need to be full sentences, so not just bullet points. Your 3 main points can be bulleted and your additional points can be bulleted. However, I would like full sentences for the rest. If you're still working on getting some of your research done, that is fine. You're definitely going to need to do more research in order to fill in the rest of this paper. So as you're going through, if you haven't figured out what you want your thesis to be, but you know what your main points are, you can start by filling in these paragraphs and then come back to your thesis. So if you have any questions or any concerns, please come and talk to me or send me an email. I am more than happy to help. As far as turning it in, you'll go back to our outline. Mine is going to look a little bit different than yours, but yours will have a section over here for turn in. If you're having trouble remembering how to turn it in, if we go back to our first day where we watched the Google Classroom video, if you go to our Google Sites, that video is all the way down here. And this, remember, is a step-by-step guide on how to submit any kind of document to a Google Classroom assignment. So if you have any questions, please send me an email. And if not, have a great day.